Dear student, myself Rajendra Asiri, I am assistant professor in computer science department at Government Bangad PG College, Titwana. Dear student, in the previous lecture, we started a new concept on transaction and management system. In that topic, we discussed various concurrency control mechanism, and under that topic, we covered various protocol like lock-based protocol. In that shared and exclusive mode concept we discussed, and then after that we discussed about a protocol named as two-phase protocol. In two-phase protocol there were two phases. One phase called as growing phase, in that the particular transaction or particular operation is holding the lock, and second phase is shrinking phase. In that phase the corresponding transaction is releasing the lock. So till now we discussed about the isolation property of the transaction. Means if more than one transaction are happening in parallel, then how to maintain the isolation property so that the operation of one transaction doesn't influence interfere with the transaction operation of the another transaction, right? After that concurrency control mechanism, under that log based protocol we already discussed. Now today we are discussing some new concept. First concept is intention lock mode. What is this? So up to this point we come to know about two mode of the uh, locks, like shared mode and exclusive mode. So in addition to shared and exclusive lock modes, there are three additional lock modes with multiple granularity. What do you mean by this? So there are first is intention shared, that is is. What is happening in this particular mode? So it indicate explicit locking at the lower level of the tree, but only with the shared lock. Next is intention exclusive lock, named as IX. It indicate explicit locking at a lower level with exclusive or shared locks. Third is shared and intention exclusive. It is the combination of intention shared as well as intention exclusive. That's why it is called as shared and intention exclusive. Now the subtree rooted by that node is locked explicitly in shared mode, and explicit locking is being done at a lower level with the exclusive mode locks, right? Now, intention locks allow a higher level node to be locked in a shared or exclusive mode without having to check all the descendant nodes, right? Now, there is a compatibility matrix with these intention lock mode. So, if you see that which lock is compatible with the another mode, so with the help of this compatibility matrix, we can decide that which mode can be used simultaneously. So, if you see uh, IS, intention shared, intention exclusive, only shared and exclusive both are with, and then last is exclusive, right? So if you see is intention shared, intention exclusive, shared and intention exclusive, and if you see these s and x is the normal shared and the exclusive mode. Similarly for the column side, row side and column side, if you see the first possibility, if a transaction is holding a lock in intention shared, then at the same time another transaction can get the mode in intention shared. That is allowed, compatible. Similarly, is mode is on, can we apply intention exclusive? Yes, we can apply intention exclusive. This is also clear. Next is is on, can we apply shared? Yes, shared is also compatible. Means if the particular transaction is holding currently the lock in intention shared mode, then it is compatible with the another transactions mode in intention shared, in intention exclusive, in shared mode, in shared and intention exclusive, and it is not compatible with the exclusive mode. Clear? So this is the point, that if holding IS intention shared, then not compatible with another transaction exclusive mode, right? Similarly for the second, if it is holding intention exclusive, then it is compatible with the intention shared. Compatible, it is again compatible with intention exclusive. Shared mode not compatible means if a particular transaction is holding in intention exclusive mode, then it is not compatible with shared mode of the another transaction. Currently in intention exclusive mode, compatible or not compatible with shared and intention exclusive, right? And with the exclusive also it is not compatible. So we can say if a particular transaction is holding a lock in intention exclusive mode, then it is compatible with only intention shared and intention exclusive. Second row clear? Next is if a lock transaction is holding the lock in shared mode, then it is compatible with intention shared. Clear? Shared and it is compatible shared mode, then it is compatible with intention shared and shared mode, right? Next, if a transaction is holding a lock in shared and intention exclusive mode, then it is only compatible with intention shared. Next, if it is holding a exclusive lock particular transaction, then another lock cannot be granted for the another transaction. It is not compatible with any of the other lock. Clear? So exclusive mode is the most restricted mode we can say, and intention shared is the most simplest lock available, right? Now multiple granularity locking scheme, what is this? So a transaction T of I can lock a particular node Q using some rules, like the lock compatibility matrix must be observed. Means a particular data item is holding a lock, another lock can be granted, but there should be a compatibility between these two locks. The root of the tree must be locked first and may be locked in any mode. Root. A node Q can be locked by transaction T of I in shared or intention shared mode only if the parent of Q is currently locked by T of I in either intention exclusive or intention shared mode, right? A node Q can be locked by transaction Ti in exclusive mode, shared and intention exclusive mode, or intention exclusive mode only if the parent of Q is currently locked by T of I in either intention exclusive or shared and intention exclusive mode. Now T of I can lock a node only if it has not previously unlocked any lock. Important point. A particular transaction can lock a node only if it has not previously unlocked any node. That is T of I is 2 phase. Now T of I can unlock a node Q only if none of the children of Q are currently locked by T of I. Now observe that locks are acquired in a root to leaf order, whereas they are released in leaf to root order. This point is very important. Means while uh, acquiring a lock, the process is from top to bottom, and while releasing, the process is from top bottom to top. Means leaf node lock will be released first, after that the upper level, then upper level, and then finally the root level lock will be released at last. Similarly, while giving the lock, granting the lock, root node will be granted with the lock first, after that second level, third level, and the leaf node will be granted the lock at the last. Next is deadlock handling. So if you see this particular schedule, there are two transactions. So in first transaction named T1, there are two operations, write on data item X and write on data item Y. This is the order. In second transaction, the order is first we are doing write on data item Y, and after that we are performing write operation on data item X. Now in this particular, the schedule with the deadlock will be like, see, first T1 transaction is holding the lock in exclusive mode on the data item X. Then it will write, right? Now see what will happen. T2 transaction will acquire exclusive mode on data item Y. Then it will write the X. Now it will wait for lock exclusive lock on X, right? Here not X, here it should be Y, right? Y. Then wait for lock X on Y. So in this manner, if you see, both the transactions are waiting for each other to release their corresponding lock. Until and unless any of the transaction will release the lock, the corresponding transaction will not proceed further. So this state is called as deadlock. So in this particular schedule, T1 and T2 transaction, both transactions are not able to proceed further, and they are gone in indefinite, or we can say infinite waiting state. Now once deadlock occurred, how to handle? This is the main point. So system is deadlock if there is a set of transaction such that every transaction in the set is waiting for another transaction in the set. So we have deadlock prevention protocol to ensure that the system will never enter into a deadlock state. So some prevention strategies are there. So we require that each transaction logs all its data item before it begins the execution. Means pre-declaration, we are saying that whatever the data item in a particular transaction, what type of locks they require, all the locks they should acquire on corresponding data item before the execution of the transaction, right? Before beginning of the execution. Now second, we have to impose partial ordering of all the data item and require that a transaction can lock data item only in the order specified by the partial order or graph based protocol. Then next, there are some more strategies. Following schemes use transaction timestamp for the sake of deadlock prevention, like wait and die scheme. It is non-preemptive. Not preemptive means it cannot be override by any other technique, we can say. So older transaction may wait for younger one to release the data item, right? Now younger transaction never wait for older ones, they are rolled back instant, right? Instant. So a transaction may die several times before acquiring needed data item, right? uh, Wound wait scheme, it is preemptive. In this, older transaction wounds or forces rollback of younger transaction instead of waiting for it. Now younger transaction may wait for older one, so maybe fewer rollbacks than wait and die scheme, right? Now deadlock prevention, both in wait and die and in wound wait scheme, a rollback transaction is restarted with its original timestamp. Older transactions thus have precedence over new ones, and starvation is hence avoided. So timeout based schemes are another schemes. A transaction wait for a lock only for a specified amount of time, limited amount of time. After that, the wait times out and the transaction is rolled back. Thus, deadlocks are not possible. Now, it is simple to implement, but starvation is possible, also difficult to determine good value for the time out interval, right? Now deadlock detection. So deadlock can be described as a wait for graph which consists vertex and edges. Set of vertex are corresponding to transaction and set of edges are corresponding to each element in an ordered pair T of I to T of G, right? So when a Ti requests a data item currently being held by Tj, then the edge Ti into Tj is inserted in the wait for graph. This edge is removed only when Tj is no longer holding a data item needed by Ti. So in this manner, in deadlock detection, there is a wait for graph with a cycle, or it can be a without a cycle. If it is a with having a cycle, then suppose if you see T6 26 transaction to T28, then 27, then 27 to 26, it means there is a cycle. Clear? If there is a cycle, then definitely there is a deadlock. So how to recover from deadlock? So when deadlock is detected, some transaction will have to roll back, then only they will release the acquired lock. Now rollback determine how far to roll back a transaction. So it can be a total rollback, or it can be a partial rollback. So starvation happens if same transaction is always chosen as victim. Include the number of rollback in the cost factor to avoid the starvation. So that's all from this lecture. Thank you.